Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions. We were just talking about Revolver, the movie Revolver. We watched it today and how it does send you right to speechlessness, actually, no thought. The freedom and no thought, it really exposes the viciousness of the ego thought system and how it's a never-ending loop. To choose against God is to choose for viciousness, how vicious it is. The slightest twig or twitch is viciousness. You can ask Jesus that. And it's almost like that underbelly of the ego has to be exposed, how vicious it is, really. Otherwise, we'll pretend on a timeline, oh, it's not so bad. And it's that, oh, not so bad. Not so bad. To snuff out the light of infinite being or attempt it, shoot it, kill it out of the mind. And to see it's all a desired experience, to kill the light out of the mind, all of it, even creating the characters, up to creating the characters that appear seemingly to help you wake up. Ask Jesus, am I creating those? Did I create every character? He says, all is well. All is well. He says it's really vicious not to look this deeply. We think it's going to be really horrific looking. All it does is take what's been spread out thin on a timeline, the viciousness of separating ourselves out from infinite love and treat ourselves viciously. Yet the trick of it is that even the release is going to be interpreted as vicious. So you really have to ask him. We were just talking today about some seemingly body symptoms showing up, and he was reminding me about when I was early on in the course. And I can just remember all these palpitations and heart palpitations coming up and seemingly going to the doctor. And of course, when you're a woman now, if you show up with any kind of heart something, you're going to end up in the hospital overnight. The play of conscious, obviously a desired experience. It's just felt like, and I'm talking about, it was just release, and it just, I felt out of sorts and like sparks were running. And if you don't really talk to him, you can't really know that that's just the release of suppressed energy. You sure you're dying? Well, the ego's dying. The idea is falling away out of the mind that something's actually happening, but the ego's like got those grasping, play in the interpretive function in consciousness. So no, don't interpret. I love that about Muju. It's such a great reminder. Don't get involved. See that it's powered. You can ask Jesus, is this whole thing just powered? I'm giving all the power to every experience. And Revolver is truly one of the best movies I can think of where, they're showing his thoughts and the divine power that comes in when we say, no, I'm not going to follow the thoughts. And then they scream and he's just, no, I'm not going to follow them. Scream and pound. And he hated being in elevators in the play. And the decision to cease to deny, cease to follow that voice. And seeing that his life had been ruled by a voice that's not his own. And that's the blessing of Jesus. This training, this mind training, this light training. Now start with the light, start with the light, start with the light. You are light, you are. How helpful that is. Start with the light and then do the light test on everything and see if it remains. It's so surprising because you could see, one could call in the world a movie like Revolver pretty violent, quote unquote, until you see that's self-violence. One twitch on that movie is self-violence. And you just watched The Decision. It's really one of the best movies, just seeing the decision in mind pop in. And it's just, he's not playing, he's present. He's not falling for the idea anymore. And you could just see. Great scene with him, Ray Liotta, I think you call. You know, where he just walks out of the elevator, walks right on past the quote unquote enemy.
It's Jason.
He just walks past that, the idea that there's an enemy right in front. You just, you know, and you can see that you'll be untouched because you're carried by grace. Mind training is a function in consciousness. The ability to notice objects as well as what is beyond all objects. So he's using the power of consciousness. He uses discernment and consciousness. Discern between subconscious and superconsciousness, the part that of us that remembers the right and wrong mind. To choose for right-mindedness, to choose for the power of God, memory, till the idea of choice falls away for the choiceless one. This is repurposed to notice what is not natural to you, time and objective experience, and to see the contrast between time and the timeless nature of who you are. He's really using that in these sessions, light sessions, to start with light. Start with the light and see that the light, the infinite nature of light, is here. This vastness in all the universe, all the millions of worlds that are, all the calculations on how many stars might have Earths. Jesus, am I vaster than this? Jesus, can I have any peace unless I admit that I'm vaster than all of this? I'm not the idea of who I think I am. Yeah, it's the power play in the body. See, to attack the body, to play in that play in consciousness for the attack to seem to show up a body, it is just an idea. Because the belief in death is so strong that the body dies, that there's a limit in the body, it's the devil's playground. So we have to see past the idea of a body, see in the light that there isn't a body, and admit that it's a choice to project experience, to look at the relishing of the experience in a body, to see the contrast between time and the timelessness. And that's when that's how the ego plays. It plays to doubt timelessness. Ask Jesus, so is the ego a doubt thought? Its function is to doubt timelessness. So doubt thoughts are to doubt the timeless nature of being. And then we follow them and keep them and fight Jesus for doubt thoughts. That's what we're to ask him. Jesus, am I fighting you for doubt thoughts, to keep doubt thoughts? So every time we don't follow the Spirit, we're fighting him to keep doubt thoughts about divine nature. We're insisting that the doubt thoughts are true, that we're not divine, that we don't have the power. And then we side with limitation. The light doesn't take side, it just is. But for a time, it'll seem like you have to side with Jesus because we're used to taking sides. So then he creates a team and invites us to it. He invites us to the Jesus team. As Laurie was saying, in the Jesus huddle. But you have to follow the one who knows the plays. It's the fastest way, is to follow the one that knows what the plays of the ego are. He knows the ego playbook, which he gave us in A Course in Miracles. Here are all the ego's plays. Now, what's happened, he's saying, yes, okay. So what's happened is through the expression of consciousness and the play of consciousness, it's provided. But then even the ego, like he said, the ego can interpret everything, misinterpret whatever Jesus says. The ego uses Jesus as an excuse not to look. Well, Jesus is with me always. Or Jesus will help me out. No, that what the ego is saying is, I'll ask Jesus later and I'm not going to follow him now. That's what that is. You can ask him. How tricky. It's very insidious. Jesus still loves me if I don't do this. No, but you're not loving yourself. It's not to Jesus. Jesus loves us continuously. Jesus doesn't know anything but love and acceptance and joy and infinite light of being. It's just, we'll even use the name of Jesus to abandon ourselves, to be bereft in time. And then suffer the consequences, the desired experience for guilt because we didn't follow. It is a refinement in consciousness to recognize the denial of wholeness, the desire to fragment consciousness for experience of limitation. So he's given a book that outlines I can't find another word other than all the fragmentation of consciousness. And at the very least, to clear enough of the debris away to start a conversation with them. To really see the asteroid belt that we've chosen. The desire to fragment consciousness for experience of limitation in the play. Even when it's impossible. So his cease to deniement plan is this book that looks like this. And you remember looking at it going, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to get through that thing? Well, the eye can't get through it. So he uses the true power of consciousness instead of to play weak, to see the true power of divine light within for unification, reunification, purification. He called it the purification. Through miracles. Miracles are expressions of consciousness conceived in love, the Immaculate Conception. You can ask them, are miracles Immaculate Conception? Conceived in love, which collapse denial. Denials in reality do not exist. You can ask, in the light of divine being, does it deny itself? Light, infinite light. It has a little protest sign in there. In light, no protest sign. It just is. So they are in sense a play within consciousness until it is seen that consciousness can never be divided. It is only an idea that it can be divided, and ultimately consciousness does not exist at all. So it's actually a dissolution of the idea of consciousness. Desired experience. like everything else in consciousness, it's desired. So he's really focusing on the practical application and the follow me and hear me and speak me, that's the shortest means, because that's why he's not purporting, encouraging discussion. Let's just discuss what's in the book. He said, let me show you what's in that book. Let me show you by direct experience of looking with me that I will keep every promise. I'm here for you. If you only knew who walked with you, that I will walk with you, that I do walk with you, that I can't be without you. And I will lead you out. If you want the direct experience and be on the timeline. But he's reminding me again, we must step into the assignment. And this was a really beautiful thing in this movie, how the lead character in the end was stepping into the assignments. And you can look, you see it exactly like it plays out. You do not want the assignments from spirit. Not you, the I, personal identity does not want spirit-led assignments. But you'll see how much power you get by, even when you don't want to do something, but Jesus is calling you to do it and you step into it. Like I say, I'm told many of the stories, Jerusalem crying, what am I doing? Or just ending up on an island going, I don't know what I'm doing here. What am I doing here? And it can be like that in moments. But it's really to have the dependency on him, because if we think we're in one little comfortable spot, that's why he sends us to seemingly different locations. So we'll ask for help, actually. I can see that, going through airports, and the one who wants to do it alone and not knowing anything about India or whatever these other missions, just to see where there were ideas that the play in consciousness of not being safe, the desire for an experience not to be safe. You have to go out of what perceived safety zone is. And you'll see how powerful it is when you really start joining at the deepest level, even for the decisions that you think you're making, with your brother, because you'll both hear it. And how comforting that is. It's very comforting here. That's all this is here. It's just to really comfort. That's it. And provide a place where you can sleep and look 24/7 at the denials to move through it. If that's your assignment from Jesus, you can ask him. He'll tell you what your assignment is. But if truly the call of your heart is to look deeply, then it's helpful to be with the mighties 24/7, because all kinds of it just appears, and all the release of the idea of personal identity looks all kinds of ways. But you'll see, I'm even asking him now, okay, Jesus, whatever was coming up in that hospital, and it was like, I don't know what it was like. And I'm asking him now, that was released too. I was just waking up, I don't know, an otherworldly, it's like, and the ego's going, well, what's happening? Well, nothing. It's the interpretive function in consciousness that goes, okay, now I'm going to have a brain scan, which they did scan. I got a brain scan. And he said, now that was a desired experience to deny right there. See, he tells me everything. That was fear, and fear, like if you have that conversation with him, he'll tell you it's nothing. Something shows up in the body and he'll tell you, okay, do you have to worry about that? He'll just start telling you everything. It's just comforting. Just ask him and just be told, do I need to worry about this? Whatever. No. Like when I fell on my foot, I fell and this was like don't know, March maybe. It was just kind of my leg fell asleep and then I fell and on my foot and had a lot of healing to do around falling and stubbing toes and all this sort of stuff. And Jesus said, you know, you really wanted to break that foot to have that experience. But after a while, we don't have enough beliefs anymore to do it, that it's possible. He said, yes, you know, so you can't really do too much, but you can find that's going to hurt, like a, you know, desire for pain or distraction or whatever it is, but you stay on it. That's what the greatest gift of that. I just stayed on it with Jesus. And don't even worry about how many days it takes to keep looking at it, because we're more powerful than that, you know. And so I just had a conversation with him about the desired experience to fall and try to break my foot, you know. And Jesus, can you help me with that? Yes. Is there? And I asked him now, is there any more? No. You see, you just work through with them until it washes out, and you'll see from that. Okay, so here's the other thing about it. I might have mentioned this. So I love like massage and rolfing and all this sort of stuff. And whenever like the body would seem to hurt like a back thing, and I'd go get rolfed and I'd feel so much better or whatever it is. But this time I could hear the prompt to go ahead and Paul at Namaste, you know, he massaged my foot. It didn't change a thing. See, because there are no more beliefs about that. There are no more beliefs that was going to do anything. So ultimately I had to ask Jesus, you know, because there was no more, I had to go to, I knew that you have to, it's nice. And the loving nature of Paul, I mean, it's a holy encounter. Do you see? So that's the purpose, and it's a sign, but you start to see that it is not the massage that's going to do it. It's looking with him to see the desire for the experience of a foot falling asleep and falling over. It's to look at as the play in consciousness, because when he starts showing you that it's a relishing of pain, like it's really relished, and you can ask him, Jesus's pain really relished his experience and attempt to push something out and push it away. Then you see the gig is up. And you see how much of a threat that is to always be wondering, well, I'm going to fall, I'm going to hit by a car. Am I? And, you know, and you can see that it's in the mind, that the healing is in the mind. It's not in the massage or and the other thing is, if we spend time with companions that believe, we tend to go with the crowds that support our beliefs. In consciousness, that's the habit in consciousness. You could see it, you know, like in Revolver, you're just hanging around with the crowds that share the belief systems. It's one of the reasons they say you need a different peer group when you get out of prison. Well, there's a good reason for that. It's the same thing. You got to be with a peer group that does not invest in prison of the mind. You can ask Jesus about that. Just like that's why this group is pulled together, so that you're with a peer group that's not investing in the no anymore. They don't see, and it's exactly as it says. It becomes our experience. You can't see somebody sick. You can't figure out what that, they're killing. You just don't know what that is anymore. You can see that was a concept and an idea. Like you couldn't, I was watching that movie, I couldn't find a winner and a loser in there. So, you know, like, because there aren't any winners or losers. As soon as there's like someone who wins and someone who loses, we're in, you know, it's duality. But boy, that movie has some powerful things in it, powerful thoughts to look at, and then have Jesus retranslate and take down. Like he didn't like getting elevators, and Jesus is going, no, it's a desired experience to feel unsafe. And then you create something that looks like it has 4 walls, and then pretend like it's real, so you can have a feeling of feeling unsafe and want to escape. He kept saying, I want to take the stairs. I want to take, and the spirit kept telling him, get in that elevator. Well, finally, the biggest breakthrough, one of the biggest breakthroughs he had was in an elevator. And stand, it has so many great symbols of standing into it. How we have to stand into it. Stand into, not be mamby-pamby and have ourselves tilted by the delusion. Denials in reality do not exist. So they are in a sense a play within consciousness until it's seen that consciousness can never be divided. Let's ask Jesus, is it possible for even consciousness to be divided? No. It is only an idea that it can be divided, and ultimately consciousness does not exist at all. Jesus, this must be helpful because he's talking a lot about consciousness lately. Yeah, he says, ultimately consciousness does not exist. Ask Jesus. I'm asked, doesn't exist. You can see it in the light. So I've just asked him if he'd talk about, because there's some teachers that talk about consciousness being the same as totality. And he's really making it very simple for us by saying, notice light and everything else is consciousness. So I'll stay with that. You're either light or you're denying light, and that's consciousness. He says, yes. So for our purposes, it's helpful. Because our goal is light. The goal is not consciousness, unification of perception so that it's a happy dream. And holistic perception, we're not always looking for attack because there's no other to attack. So you still can perceive something, but you're not in the hunting ground of perceiving others to find an other to attack or be attacked by. There's just not the otherness. And I said, Jesus, otherness is hell. He says, yes, that's what hell is, being two, because you'll always feel alone, the desire to feel separate. Miracles are expressions of consciousness conceived in love, which collapse denial. That's beautiful. And they come from beyond consciousness even. He says, yes. Love is so far beyond consciousness. Is that right? Yes. But you can see how the Father loves us so much. He's not say, okay, you made consciousness, now you to live in a hell dream. No. So he says it's a happy dream and the unification of consciousness because there's no enemy. There's only the celebration of the one and then expressing as divine love. Denials in reality do not exist. So they are, in a sense, a play within consciousness until it is seen that consciousness can never be divided. To see in perceptive wholeness, to perceive in wholeness. That there's not an otherness. That's an idea, it's a concept that there's other. It is only an idea that can be, it can be divided, and ultimately consciousness does not exist at all. He's pointing to choiceless awareness. And you can ask him, Jesus, is my only function choiceless awareness? He said, that's all there is. My only function is completion, which is to cease to deny, because what's complete is already here. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, Jesus, am I already wholly, whole, and complete? Before time began. Is that natural state before time began? So there has to be a lot of rage against light. He says, yes, it's just rage. To hold it below a layer, to deny ourselves infinite love takes rage. And releasing the energy is to release the rage. You release the rage. You don't have to rage to release rage. See, the ego has an idea of what rage is. And he made that really clear to me. It's not getting mad and throwing a fit. No. You can ask him, do I need to get mad and pound pillows to release? No. The desire, the willingness to see it differently. That's it. All it takes. You know, he even in the course, I mean, in the lessons where he's just showing us, okay, when you look at the lessons, now the ego is going to make, you know, hay out of it. And I see that more obviously the play in consciousness was to make these lessons the hardest thing on the planet to do, right? And then after we've been in the course for a while, you look at those lessons and just a simple, I'll take 5 minutes out of your day, you know, 5 minutes. And you go to the end of the day, where's that lesson? That's how badly we don't want to look. At the end of each practice period, ask yourself, is this the world I really want to see? The revolver world of shooting and fighting it out and duking it out, gonna kill another, and where's my white powder drug, and who stole the money. And but what's really beautiful about Revolver, he used everything that the lead character believed. He believed in stealing and hiding money and hiding drug and all that sort of stuff. And the spirit still used that to help him unwind from the idea. So we can't even have any thought or judgment with the way spirit's going to move for a wake-up call. He says, you have to put it totally in my hands. And you can ask him, Jesus, do I have to put this totally in your hands? He says, without that, you will suffer. And I'm asked, anyway, no. Any way around that, Jesus? No. You do not put the whole kit and caboodle. Every time you don't just lay it in my hands, you will suffer. By letting me choose for you. So you can see there are no choices to be made. Heaven doesn't have a choice, but for a time, because we just so consciousness addicted, major addict. Is it I said, Jesus, rage is addiction to thought. He says, addiction to choice. He says, yes, that's what choice is. It's rage. Desire for choice is rage. So as long as there's an idea of a choice, which consciousness loves the currency of choice, a better choice, a different choice. I'll be happy if I make this choice versus that choice. Then he gives us a choice to make. Follow me. Keep us busy. Keep consciousness busy following him. So it's not choosing against, that's a denial, is to choose against what's holy. So it keeps sending us back to cease to deniement class, to cease to deny what's already here, the light. And to encourage us, he says, yes, keep joining. Join with me. Join with your brothers. Assemble. Light up the board. All day if you have to. And the ego is going to scream about that and go, well, I've been joining, but nothing's happening. You can't judge that. See, the ego's judging that. And the other question came in. It feels helpful to answer it here too for everyone. It was a good question. You know, who do I join with? And do I join on the post or do I? Well, it's most helpful to ask Jesus who to join with and then follow him. And it might not be someone that you really want to join with. That's why these chapter assignments are given by him. because he knows who the most helpful pairs are that will serve each other to the highest function. But then the ego resists and come up with reasons not to do it. And you see all kinds of play in that. Let's ignore all that. Just say, like, what do you call that? L'Oreal, I'm worth it. I'm worth it. Like we say, I'm worth it for shampoo, but when I'm not worth it, to learn how to speak to Jesus and have Jesus direct me to take me out of this world. So the ego's going to play. The question is, are we going to stand in the elevator and say no, or when the Spirit's trying to get us in the elevator to look directly to see that it's an illusion? The elevator is a three-dimensional, multi-dimensional illusion. So the question is, will we step into the elevator to see through it? That's really what we're doing. We're supporting each other and just stepping into it. And we're not providing any support for the no. That's what a true mighty will do. It will not, who's really devoted to the voice, there's no support for the ego to play the sideways game, so they save time. But the ego doesn't want that mighty. It's going to go looking for a different mighty. It's going to try to find a mighty that will agree with it. And it'll seem like a mighty. Well, I join with. It will hunt in every instance, whenever it can, to find, and then consciousness will deliver it out. Consciousness will deliver it out, because we can do that with it. The consciousness has the power, as we've talked about, and Muji talks about it too. You see the power in the play. Just getting close to looking so deeply to find the desire for Armageddon, and then I'm wondering when we're serving ice cream or whatever. I haven't had a chocolate cookie in so long. So really having those dedicated mighties and bringing our true power and just refusing not to be sidetracked on the chapter 20. Really, he says, don't let yourself be sidetracked. You see your value. You'll see so much value in it. Because the more of those beliefs and desires you can admit, oh my God, I still have that. The more you want Jesus, you'll see it. That's the experience here. The more he showed me, the more I knew I needed him. It's so touching. The more he showed me, the more he shows me, the more I know I need him. The more I go to him. The more grateful I have, more gratitude. The more rest, more comfort, because I don't have to give a thought to anything. Less and less thought to anything. Jesus is saying, don't have any thoughts at all. Okay. Ask him, Jesus, do I need any thoughts at all? He never tells me no. Okay. And then like Kelly said, it was the same thoughts. You just see them. They're going to be the same thoughts. And I remember whenever I'd have a thought and someone else had a thought, I'd go, you stole my thought. I'd be like resentful. Now you see it, that it's the way the Spirit is giving you 100% support. So Kelly goes at the end of the movie, she goes, you can go infant on that. It's like, that's exactly what Jesus is saying here. The mind, there was no thought. Just wipe the board clean. And the board is clean. So we just have to stop taking out the Christmas decorations and trying to use consciousness to decorate what doesn't need any decoration at all. Infinite light of being. Thank you, Jesus. I'm so great. Thank you, brothers. And I had, because Jesus, I was having a talk with him. I had like a 5-minute jacuzzi. I love talking to him in the jacuzzi. I like talking to him everywhere. Really. And and I was just having a talk about, okay, Jesus, yes, I mean, I did. I made it all up. And I even made up the characters who are going to come in and help me see through it. And he goes, yep. And I'm realizing I made the best cast of characters ever that's here. Amen to that. You see, the cast is a happy one, a precious one, that are only here to help. So thank you, Jesus, for showing up and bringing your light and shining it here with us every day. Precious indeed. Amen. We love you.